Hello, Shalom, friends. This is Mime, and I'd like to talk to you today in this holistic health and healing lesson about something spiritual, forgiveness. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because, number one, it's healing. Forgiveness is healing. It's healing for you as the forgiver, primarily. Number two, being able to forgive will help you achieve your own personal life and spiritual goals. So we're not even talking about, the benefits of forgiving the other person, the benefits that the other person will receive. I only want to focus on the benefits that you will receive when you forgive. And the third reason I want to talk about this is because this is something that I have recently had to deal with in my own personal life. So it's very fresh in my mind and my heart and my spirit. So I wanted to talk about that. Personally, I feel like I'm a very forgiving person. I've forgiven people in my life of things that I would have in the past just completely rejected them for. Meaning, when I was younger and someone offended or wronged me, I would basically cut them off, cut my relationship off with them, and basically never speak to them again. But as I grew older, I would still cut people off because I know, for me at least, I need to do that for my own health and my own sanity. But the difference now that I'm older is that even though I'll cut them off for a short time, I'll very shortly, very soon forgive them and let them back into my life and give them a second chance. That is what's new. That's one of the ways that I have matured personally and spiritually in my life, is that I forgive people and I give them second chances, basically. Now, and I feel like I don't really require a lot of time to do that. Usually, I'll forgive someone very quickly, especially if they want to come back into my life. I'll usually um, give them a second chance, um, or even third or more. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't put up boundaries or anything like that after the first offense. Um, but still, I still do try to restore and reestablish the relationship. Now, recently, I had an incident where I felt like me and another party that I felt like there was this mutual offensiveness. Now, I feel like they started it. And I feel like my response, and the reason why I say I feel is because, being in the midst of it and being, one of the parties involved, I always, want to readily admit that I have my own biases and that I can't completely be objective to the situation. And truly, I believe that it's very human to never be completely objective. You're always going to have, some kind of biases. And that's just natural. And it's better to admit that what your biases may be than to try to think that you're completely unbiased. I think that is more of the lie that people say, that when they say that they're completely unbiased. I think it's more honest to admit that there's always biases and it's just human. But anyways, so in my perspective, the other person was wronged me first. Let's say that. And that my response initially was to basically just laugh it off and just to respond by brushing it off and laughing it off and kind of ignoring it because I didn't want to stir the pot, or, I didn't want to demand my way or anything like that. But, the offensiveness just kept going to the point where it really stressed me out. And even though I felt like I was strong enough to deal with it, I felt like it caused too much stress in my life and it affected me in other areas of my life. And I asked my husband for help, and he didn't like seeing me stressed out. So he talk to the other person and ask them to just, kind of please just lay off. You may disagree with, things, but please, it's just too stressful for my wife to deal with. And I think the way that, the other party took it was, they kind of laid off. But it was too hard to really completely lay off, yet still be my friend. And so um, it kind of, ended up where we had to cut off the relationship, or the other party felt like they had to cut off the relationship. And when the relationship was cut off, there were some very harsh words said. Um, and it ended up that both parties were offended and whatever, you know. So that happened. And I was like, okay, well, it's better that the relationship ended than it kept going and, people were miserable. Not just on my side, but, the other side was also miserable because they didn't like the way I did things, certain things. And so we split, and it was an ugly split. But, anyways, it happened. And I kind of felt like, you know, I was really mad at first because of, the way things went down and whatnot. But I did very quickly forgive, and that's just how I am. But then when I saw the person again recently at an event, because we have a lot of mutual friends, they would not even look me in the eye. And I tried to, you know, make eye contact several times. Just, I don't want to be so bold as to just start talking to them as if nothing happened. So I wanted to, start off with just a smile or something like that. But they wouldn't even make eye contact. So this is my perspective, and I could be totally off again. I admit that, I can be biased, because this is my story and it's about me and my relationship with someone else. But I felt like, they wouldn't even make eye contact. And then I got upset because in my mind, I had already forgiven them. Not that, I didn't, not that they didn't need that, not that I was the only one that was offended. Of course, the other party was also offended. Um, and they had to forgive me for the offense as well. But I think what happened was, and I was speaking to my life coach, and what I discovered was that I forgave them, but then later I got upset with them because I found that they did not forgive me. So it was this kind of like full circle thing. And I wanted them to forgive as easily as I forgave. And when they didn't, I was offended, re-offended, as offended again. It was almost like my forgiveness for them didn't count because I started being upset again with them. So that was the problem. But that was the problem that I didn't see right away because I became upset again when they saw them. Does that make sense? So then when my life coach helped me to realize that, you know, I thought I forgave them, but I was upset with them again. And so did I really forgive them? Not really, because it's really the same issue, the same incident. And I'm just, I was continuing to hold a grudge. And I realized that I had to be okay not only with them offending me the first time, but with them continuing on with the grudges. I had to even forgive that. And when I saw that, and also when I saw that them not forgiving me made me feel like I was not worthy of forgiveness, I had to also realize that I need to also forgive myself because, things did happen, and I did use words that, now looking back at it, I wish I wouldn't have used those exact words. And, but, I don't like to dwell and regret because there's nothing you can really do to change the past. You can only move forward. And so I realized that I had to forgive them no matter what state they were in and no matter no matter whether they forgave me or not. even if I think that, forgiving is just basically the civil thing to do. And the second thing is that I need to realize that someone not forgiving me should not prevent me from forgiving myself. And I think, especially for me, I'm a perfectionist, I'm a workaholic. Those are some of my, things that I struggle with sometimes. And I see that even in one of my daughters where she just, she has a hard time um sometimes forgiving others, but also forgiving herself, and she's very hard on herself. And so that's something that I have to, keep constantly reminding myself is not only to forgive others, but also to forgive myself. That someone being upset with me does not mean that don't deserve forgiveness. And now I'd like to talk about the healing aspect of forgiveness. So, forgiveness is very healing. Many times, people that have cancer, it stems from stress, and that stress is based on unforgiveness. And again, it could be unforgiveness of another person, but it can also be mixed with unforgiveness of themselves. And of course, that manifests in this prolonged feeling of guilt and shame. And so we really need to, if we want to achieve complete holistic health and healing, we have to forgive both ourselves and others in order to achieve complete and total holistic health and healing. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you're saying that the wrong that happened is right. It's not justifying sins or offenses or anything like that. But what it means is that we're not going to anymore hold grudges or hold hard feelings or continue to be angry or anything like that, anything that is harmful to yourself or to other people because of that. It also means that we're not going to try to force other people to change or force a certain kind of action or reaction in others. And it also means that we're not going to um, withhold forgiveness to ourselves because we can't force or change the past. We can't even necessarily force a change in our own um, character or behavior. We can make steps to do that, but it is, usually character or the mistakes that we do are based on our character, which are based on our habits, which are based on our, education and training and programming that we've received from life, um, mixed with, our circumstances as well as our environment, um, and also our response to them. And there are many things that we can change, but it will take time. And we have to realize that it will take time and that it's okay. That it's okay to, you know, be looking forward to change, but to not have achieved it yet. And I always think about that verse in the Bible that says, the righteous man falls 7 times and yet he gets back up again. And that verse is applicable in so many different ways. It means, when we fail um, in our character development that we want to achieve, it's okay. We're going to fail. We're going to keep failing. But the important part is that we keep striving and that we keep heading in that general direction of improvement and letting go of those, bad things in our lives, the character traits, the habits, the actions, the thoughts, also, especially. So forgive others and forgive ourselves. And another thing is that when we forgive, we are better able to achieve our own personal and life and spiritual goals. So, first, let's talk about just life goals, Um, when you don't forgive someone, you are consumed with thinking about the situation and having emotions about the situation. And this will eat up your time and your health and your sleep sometimes. And maybe, it may be that if you don't forgive someone, you won't want to go certain places because you don't want to see them. You don't want to, maybe talk to someone or be in a certain kind of environment, or maybe you'll even want to leave your circle of friends or, something like that. And so you won't, let's say you are in school and you wallow in unforgiveness, and you're going to end up wasting your time thinking about that instead of doing your homework, doing your tests, or um, having fun with your friends, even, maybe you don't want to, enjoy your friends anymore because that person might be there, you know, something like that. So it can affect your personal goals, your life goals, or even like if you have a business or if you have a job, it can affect you in your workplace, in your business. And then, we can also talk about spiritual goals. Spiritual goals like love and joy and peace. It can be very hard to be joyful if you are constantly thinking about, how someone else hurt you and constantly dwelling in that victim mentality and how you were wronged. It will rob you of your joy. It can rob you of being able to show love to your family and friends because instead of showing them love, you are constantly reliving this hurt and reminding them about it. Even if it's not about them, maybe it's about someone else. But instead of, let's say enjoying some laughs with your friends or your family, instead you're talking to them about a hurtful experience. Now, sometimes, of course, you have to do that sometimes. You have to talk about things sometimes. But sometimes it can be overwhelming for others. And it can affect your relationship with other people if they can't handle that emotion, you know? Um, so you have to be very careful. I have found that. Especially for women, I think, they often expect their spouses to understand, their husbands to understand, and men being just less, sometimes less in tune with their emotions and their feelings, they just don't understand. And they feel, maybe sometimes um, caught or stuck with these burdens, these emotions, and they're not able to process them, and they don't know what to do with them. And when you share your emotions and your burdens with someone that doesn't know how to process them themselves, then you are actually, it's like infecting them. Like if you're sad, it'll make them sad. And we should be friends and we should be bearing each other's burdens and whatnot. But people can only handle so much. And that's when we have God. And that's the beautiful thing about God, that, He can handle everything. He can handle all of our griefs, all of our pain, everything. But of course, sometimes you do need someone to talk to. And that's one of the reasons why I personally enjoy having a life coach. And, good friends are also really important and really great for that. Um, depending on how much, though, depending on how much processing you need of those thoughts and those feelings, it can be hard to find a good friend that can truly listen and understand. I have a few of those in my life. Um, and, you know, I don't want to overuse that as well because, everyone has their own things that they need to deal with. And so, love, joy, peace, these are all things that can be robbed from you if you cannot and do not forgive others. So I hope this was a good reminder. I'm sure a lot of these things, we all know these things intuitively, but the problem is sometimes we just need a good reminder for these things. So if you are interested in personal holistic health or life coaching, please go ahead and contact me. It's part of what I do. I'm a naturopathic herbalist, but also a holistic life coach. And if you are interested in becoming a naturopathic herbalist or holistic life coach, I invite you to visit our website at www.arukah.com, ARUKAH.com. Shalom.
Are you interested in becoming a holistic healer, like a health coach, a naturopath, an herbalist, or a nutritionist, but don't have the time or money for college? The Aruka Holistic Life Academy offers a dual certification program in naturopathic herbalism and holistic life coaching with an emphasis in online business and marketing. Become the healer of your home and your community and build a profitable online health coaching business. Visit www.arukah.com. That is ARUKAH.com.